Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Reality Realness with 3 S's. I'm your host, Chantele Francis, with my amazing co-host, Drew, from Angelcake Entertainment Channel. How are you doing today, Drew?
I'm doing well. Got some editing done. I stayed up late watching men's basketball.
Oh,
So
I thought you were going to say Love is Blind, but okay, men's basketball.
yeah, no, March Madness is going strong. So I was watching a lot of like Miami Hurricanes. FAU plays today. So I mean, I've just been enraptured with
Sports.
random sporting events this past year with the World Cup and now March Madness. I don't know what's going on, but I'm excited.
I wish that I got into sports. I need to get like a new boyfriend so that like I can be into sports. Usually my friends are really artsy, but maybe I need to get into sports because I don't know what March Madness really is.
It's just a big tournament. It's a
Right.
big tournament with all the best college basketball players playing in it. Yeah.
Gotcha. Cool. We have friends joining us here because we are going to talk about episode 4 of the Challenge Global Championships. Chris is here. Duh is here. Lovable Nikki. Addie's brain. Willie. Everybody's joining us, even though we're having it on a new day, new time. So happy that you guys were able to jump over today because I was in Panama and I wasn't able to go live yesterday. So all of our friends are here. Now, Drew, I found it a little bit challenging to do these rankings this week because we don't see that many people, like the confession, like we don't see gameplay for that many people other than the people that are really involved in the storyline for the week. And then even with this particular daily, I found that like, okay, there was like 30 people eliminated at one go. So I couldn't even like maybe judge on like who did the best in the daily and then have that help influence my decision. But speaking of the daily, what do you think about this one? Gates of Hell.
I thought it was good. I liked how simple it was. The problem I found myself seeing with it is what you just mentioned, is that so many people were just lopped off right at the very beginning, which seemed a little, I don't know, anticlimactic at a certain point. I mean, I like that there was 3 teams going after it for quite a while, but it would have been nice to have it be cut down to 9, 8, maybe even 7, and then we get down to 4 and then cut down one by one at a certain point. Like maybe the idea, I think that I like the idea of the gates, but maybe it would have been better if you were just the last couple of people to cross the finish line, you would be eliminated instead of there being an actual door, because that speed of that door for the first round was quite quick.
Yeah, I do like the gates coming down because I was very impressed by everybody just like sliding underneath that gate or that I thought that was really cool because I don't know if I'd be able to just like toss my body underneath there like that. Like that seems so scary. So I did like that it was closing down and you had to like do what you could to get through to the other side. What I think that could have improved it is kind of what they did in the final round. So most rounds, if your partner didn't get through, then you're eliminated, right? Both people had to get through and you'd be eliminated. I kind of wish that for the entire daily, if your partner gets through, one of you gets through, you still get to move on. And I think that would have helped a few people stay in the game a little bit longer, especially since in the last round, Wes was the only person that got through and was able to win it for his partner. So I would have liked to see consistency there. And I think it would have been just a little bit more compelling knowing that like, okay, I got through, but so that means we're still in it. Since they're in pairs.
Yeah. I mean, I think that could have been a viable option, at least in the beginning rounds. And then at a certain point, that's when TJ is like, we're upping the ante. You got now both of you have to make it through or you're out. So yeah, I think that could have like helped prolong the daily challenge a little bit longer. Even then, though, we did get a pretty decent battle between Zara and Dory at one point, as well as Zara versus Danny and Dory at one point, which was it made for a very good ending and a very gripping ending. Especially with Wes doing his acrobatics at the end. I don't know if that was on purpose or if that's how he just wanted to.
He literally tripped, and I think that he just kept going.
It was ridiculous. There was nobody in front of him. There was nobody in back of him. Why did he trip? Keep your feet up, man. High knees. What are you doing?
Well, okay, so I want to know what your take is because to me it looked like Zara was holding back Danny. But then I said that on my recap on Wednesday, and Danny was like, he messaged, he's like, no, I was holding back Zara. So what would your take be on who was holding whom back in that final round?
I got the slow down footage and I pointed out on my review
Headlock,
and
right?
recap. It looked like that Zara was on top of Danny, like putting him in a headlock. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know how. I mean, Zara isn't like. I don't know how powerful she is or how much power she could have. Like, I feel like Danny could easily just like jump up with her
yeah,
on his back and then
yeah.
run with her. But it's all up there. But I do think that Zara was on Danny's back trying to hold him back, and then in with that, Tori was also left in the mix and kind of left in the dust. So I don't know. Maybe it's a little bit of A, a
Well,
little bit of
maybe he
B.
was allowing her to be like giving her like be in the headlock, so it was distracting her from actually running because TJ even
Yeah,
said that she was the fastest person running for all rounds, male female it seems.
yeah, I can see that.
I'm pretty impressed for sure. What other significant? Oh, okay, this is another thing that happened. We'll probably talk about it a little bit more when we do the power rankings. But we see Kiki do a dive into the wall and onto the people to ensure that she doesn't get last place. And then at the same time, you see Naya walking, like slowing down and kind of walking to the end at the end when she realized that she wasn't going to get through. What do you think about both of those two people's decisions at the end of the round?
I think it's the ability to remember the rules and what was said in the midst of chaos. And Kiki was able to remember that, hey, if you're the last one, or if you don't want to be the last one to touch the gate, or if you can at least try to not be the last one to a certain point, then maybe you'll keep yourself out of the elimination. And I think Kiki was pulling up the rear, and she just decided to do a Hail Mary to try to keep her and Darrell out of elimination, which ultimately helped them in the long run because it looked like Naya just kind of said,
Yeah,
"Oops, I wasn't able to make it," and
checked out.
yeah. Oh, Chris says that Naya said on the pod that she was scared to get hurt because of insurance issues. So that could be a thing of, I guess, something as well.
Really? Okay. I mean, wouldn't MTV or Paramount Plus or whatever have all that covered? Or like did she maybe only come on being like, "Hey, like I know you're having health issues due to the vaping. We're only going to come on if you're covered yourself." Like I don't understand how that would affect anything.
I don't know. I've heard stories of challengers going to the hospital and having to pay their own way, even with being on the show. So I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, wow, wow. I mean, I know you probably sign your life away when you go on these shows, but I would also think that insurance would take care of like injury with some of their poorly planned challenges.
Yeah, and some of the stuff that they go through is can be taxing. I mean, I just think of like even recently Nicole and Cam going at it on the top of the truck, and Nicole had to be eliminated for her shoulder popping out, and people
Mhm.
are bringing up Olivia in the last season. So, yeah, I don't know. That's it's
Yes, so Chris, yes, I understand. I do have, I live in Canada, so if I get hurt, I can go to the doctor no matter what, and I'll be taken care of. I know that's not the case necessarily in the States. I'm not 100% sure how it all works, but I would assume that the production, because I work in film and television, and the production has insurance for all the people that are working on that particular production. So I would think that there would be some sort of coverage from MTV, Paramount Plus, whatever, onto the players if they get injured on their show. So I just don't understand with the Naya situation, just for the fact that like she's on the show, so she should be covered by the show.
hmm.
You're like, hmm,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I could see where like maybe back in the day it wasn't as clean cut of maybe there was a lot more um red tape to get through or
Maybe.
more so exclusions when it came to covering injuries back in the day where it had to meet certain criteria or the challengers would have to pay out of pocket to the point where maybe it's changed nowadays.
Maybe. Okay.
Um, so I really have no clue because it's something that isn't really brought up too much on certain podcasts and stuff. People want to talk about the drama, talk about relationships, friendships, and not too many people are bringing up like, oh yeah, I got injured and here's all the
None of
if
the
I
reals.
covered it or not. Yeah. So
Exactly. So Chloe here is saying that Olivia said that she was clever. Exactly. So that's why it seems a little bit strange. So I guess like I'm wondering if it's because she did have that health scare that she does talk about on this episode.
mm,
And we were speculating as to how her vaping caused her to not be able to be on 38 with Jordan. And so I believe that she got a blood clot is what somebody had said. And that, I mean, that's pretty scary for sure. And so maybe it's with
yeah.
having that blood clot that maybe their insurance isn't going to cover certain things,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, I
so
don't know.
it's kind of like
It's
play at your own risk is I think maybe what might have happened.
yeah, like I understand not wanting to get injured, but also maybe there's also a thought process of also having like I don't know, for a lack of a better term, a brain fart in the middle of just chaos and people hitting into a fence and just not knowing to maybe jump at the fence or anything like that. I mean, I think both could be the case where she didn't want to dive into a crowd of people, not wanting to get hurt or hurt anybody, but at the same point also not remembering like what the objective is trying to be the last not the last person to touch the gate or anything. So, I don't know. I think it could be a little column A, a little column B in that sense.
A little Anissa vibe of excuses, a little bit. But I do know that she was sick. We saw videos of her in the hospital, but I'm not sure if she has the heart that it takes. I'm very surprised. So I drafted her pretty high, and I just felt that she was saying on the episode that she didn't want to let anybody down and let herself down, and she wanted to push through and she wanted to get this win. And I felt that she didn't push hard enough. I feel like she just gave up a little bit, unfortunately. So, what else do you want to talk about this episode before we get into our rankings?
I'm sure we're going to be talking about quite a bit of stuff that happened during the power ranking, but the idea that Wes and Jordan's names are being thrown out there quite early kind of got me a little excited. I mean, I think both players and both teams are very, very strong. So I think it's good that they're actually getting into their mindsets of wanting to target stronger teams. But a lot of people in my comment sections past week made the case that it was way too early. And I kind of wanted to get your thought process on do you think it was too
No,
early for the names to be thrown out there or possibly
absolutely
one
not.
to
It's
nominate?
about to get boring, right? Like it has to happen now, or is it just going to be Team USA steamrolling everybody and just plucking them off one at a time? So
Mhm.
I mean, too early, as in like what Danny wanting to like to come after like Wes and Jordan. Is that what you're kind of is that the too early?
Yeah, or like or the all the MVPs wanting to push for Jordan to be nominated while Wes and Zara are in power. So trying to they in the edit it sounded like they wanted to test where Wes's cards lie, whether it's with Kellyanne or with Jordan, and they would rather say, or if Zara would want to keep Kaz, but Wes would want to keep Kellyanne. Um, I thought that was interesting, but I think it would have ultimately led to Tristan and Kellyanne being thrown into another
Yeah.
elimination.
Okay, I don't think it's too early to start making moves. I don't know if that would be the exact perfect move because I think Wes is too smart for that to put two people in that there's going to be friction as to who they want to keep. I guess, I mean, I guess they could have done that. It's just not good for them to, I don't think it's good for Wes to throw in Kellyanne. And then obviously they're on the same team. They're on the same team. So there's more likely chance that they're not going to be thrown in. I mean, if they had thrown in maybe Kaz and like the both of them and have to break up more of Team UK,
I think
maybe,
that's what
but
they were wanting to do. is have the two UK teams up for
Yeah.
nominations to see where they would go for it, which I think it would be interesting, but
I
of course nobody was going for it on the MTV Legends side.
No, I mean, I think that the Jordan of it all and the West of it all, like breaking that up is going to be good for, Danny. But I just don't know. I guess I'm rooting for too many people to know what I actually want. Like every time I start saying something, I'm like, no, but then that means that person would go in and go home potentially. And like, I don't know what I think. What do you think?
I think there could have been a case to be made if Wes and Zara didn't win this past week's daily challenge.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
I
Yes.
think it would have been a much closer argument than say Jordan and Kaz, when we know Tori will never say Jordan's name, and he's just coming off of the challenge 38, and Bananas was working very closely with Jordan, even though he knows how much of a threat he is. He's not going to say his name that soon, especially with Theo being connected to Kaz and everything. I think if Wes and Zara would have won, we saw a conversation between Bananas and Casey kind of mocking Wes for walking around the house, kind of tooting his own horn, talking about his past challenge history and everything. So
I thought Bananas and him had mended fences, and they were like, didn't they cry when they had to take each other out? And was it double agents? I don't remember.
I think they have like a friendship, but they know that in the game with all
They're
these other
against each
players that
other.
they're gonna need to make a move at some point. I mean, they kind of felt that way in Total Madness too, that they had to like maybe take one out to secure a spot in the finals and to win.
Is it
So
Total
I don't
Madison I
know.
was thinking of, not double agents? The one where they end up going up against each other, and Wes was, or Bananas was like, no, don't throw yourself in, Wes, or something like that, and then Bananas won. Is that Total
Bananas was
Madness?
not on Double Agents.
Okay, so then it's Total Madness.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
Total Madness.
So yeah, I mean, I don't think it's too early to make shots, but I don't know if that's the shot to be made right now. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Who are you rooting for though? Who are you wanting to do well? I know you have your draft, but like I said, like I'm like, oh, but I kind of want them to stay, but I kind of want them to stay, and there might be one person on each team that I want to stay more than like another person on another team.
At this point, I'm really rooting for Jody and Benha just to win into power, because I would love to see what they do. Just to be safe, be the last Argentina team there, be safe. Now people have to scramble to figure out another team to have to nominate, and we get to see the hierarchy of, will a UK team, another UK team, be put up next to Kellyanne and Tristan, or will somebody be like, well, maybe we could put in somebody from Australia, or if Danny gets his way and wants to throw in Jordan and Kaz. So at this moment, all I'm rooting for is Jody and Benha to get a win, so we
I'm
can
in.
get something different happening. Because
I'll
if
take
we
that,
have
or
another
I'll
vote,
take Kellyanne and Tristan as well. I think that it'll be kind of messy. Sorry.
yeah,
Continue.
I wouldn't mind that either. I just don't want the vote to be neither Jody, Benha, or Kellyanne and Tristan getting last place, and then both of them are up for votes, and people just
Mm-hmm.
go, whatever, they're here again, so why not
Mm-hmm.
vote them in again? And it's like, no, stop it
Mm-hmm.
right now, don't do
Mm-hmm.
it.
Don't do it. Matthew, hi Matthew, says, did either of us hear Bananas saying on his podcast that Team USA is carrying the show in terms of entertainment, and he wasn't referring to Danny and Sarah? I did not hear this, but I feel like I've seen someone post about it, like just being like, yeah, Bananas thinks that. Is Bananas more entertaining and we're just not seeing it? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, they cut all entertainment out of the show, because his 1 to 2 confessionals every single week are making my sides hurt from how entertaining and how funny they
So
are.
entertaining.
I mean, I loved it when they were on the balcony and Bananas suggests, why not just vote in Jody and Benha and Kellyanne and Tristan and be done with it? And that was it. That was a great conversation. I was so entertained by that. Thank you.
So entertaining by not wanting to rock the boat too soon, too early to make big moves. I mean, as a game player, if I'm in the game, I probably don't want to rock the boat or make any big moves. But as a viewer, make the damn big move. I'd rather see you flop than like play it safe. So sorry, Bananas, you're not as entertaining as you think this season.
I love that we're like episode 4, week 3 into the game, and you could already tell like Danny is just kind of over like Tori and Bananas in this episode. Like them at the voting ceremony and Tori taking the reins of being like, this is what we're gonna have to do. And Danny's just sitting there looking at the table, like, whatever. And then at the club, it just felt like Danny was like, dude, I understand it. When Bananas was trying to tell him, like, why don't we want to go? Like, he's like, dude, I get it, but I'm just letting you know, like, this is what we were thinking about. Like, don't, it almost felt like Danny was in his, like, the way he was posturing himself was like, don't patronize me. Like, I played games before. I played a Challenge USA. Like, I understand where you're coming from, but this is where we're coming from, dog. Like, it's I can't wait. I can't wait till it just explodes
I
into
know I
chaos
need
and
it. And the thing
hectic.
is though that they're all interwoven, so it will be challenging for the likes of Danny to take out Jordan because Jordan is attached to Tori. And so that hopefully that causes a fight. Hopefully that Danny's just going to be like, okay, if we're not going to come to an agreement, we're going down. Right. And because Tori will buckle. Like she will not, I don't
Oh
think
yeah.
she'll risk it. So I would love to see Danny strong arm Tori here and like force Tori to throw in her ex. That'd be great.
Well, and it's the thing is like I get where everybody's coming from because I can see both sides of the vets being like, hey, we're connected. You have numbers with us. Why try to like send in somebody who is a number for me that I know that will never say my name, but in the same realm, they are making friends, they are making other alliances. And at the end of the day, if it comes down to either saying Theo and Sarah's name or Jordan and Kaz's name, like Danny will not want to say Theo and Sarah's name, but uh Tori will never want to say Jordan and Kaz's name. So it's that friction that they're worried about later on in the game when now they're going to be butting heads when Danny's thinking that's my number one. They will never say my name. They will never say our name, but you're going to put all your eggs into the Jordan and Kaz basket when that's also a very strong team that will never say our name either. But who could win into the final? Who could do this? Who could do that? Who's more skilled? Who has more championships? It's taking everything into account, and sometimes you got to take a shot at your own numbers. So I don't know.
I mean, well, they're not on USA. So, like, if they were on
That's
USA,
true.
like, then I'd be like, okay, you're not going to go after Jordan and Kaz, but they're on Team UK, so there is a way out to a certain extent. Being like, listen, like, I love you. I'm going to keep you as far as I can, but like, we're not playing for the same team, and it is a game. But you know, it's not. Tori's not good at doing stuff like that, so it's probably going to be a big problem. Okay, well, so I mean, at the bottom of both of our lists is definitely going to be Naya and Rodrigo. I'm assuming, right?
Well, they're eliminated, so
So
they're
yeah,
off
we
the
could just
list.
talk about them, I guess, for a second.
I do want to say, Chasing K. Brene says it perfectly. Numbers are a big part of the game, but if you can't beat the people in your numbers in a final, then you're just waiting longer to lose, which is exactly it. That's exactly it.
Waiting longer to lose. Yeah. Well, losing this episode was Rodrigo and Naya. You know, Rodrigo did end up having an injury that, you know, Naya was like, you know, he doesn't want to show any weakness, but they're already last place. They're already going in. They're going in last place on Team Argentina. That's not a great place to be because there's only one more Team Argentina player or team. And I mean, I would be sending them in against you as well. Like it's just the easiest move to make. And so I feel bad because they kind of got a bit of the short end of the stick, but they're outmatched here though.
Yeah, it was frustrating, especially when hearing Naya talk about Rodrigo having an injury, especially after this daily challenge. Somebody mentioned that he suffered a leg injury during his actual season and it never healed up because it was so quick that they did the world championships after their season that it kind of, I guess, got re-aggravated, even if it did kind of heal up a little bit. Maybe that also played in a factor of them doing so poorly in the chain game, being able to run on the sand, if at all, were able to run if he was actually injured and everything. So it's frustrating. I liked Rodrigo's personality. He was teaching everybody how to dance. And Naya, we saw a lot of personality from her this past week's episode. And I wish we would have gotten to see more of her, as well as the dynamic of her, Jordan, and Tori in the game. I think coming into that, I think we were all wondering what that storyline was going to be, especially after the Challenge 38 and after All Stars 3. And it turned out to be a big old goose egg. I mean, we saw one conversation, it seemed, from Naya and Jordan, and that was it. Nothing else.
Oh, I'm so mad that I took Naya as my second girl pick when I could have taken either Kaz or Sarah. Ugh. Ugh.
Yeah, now we're both kicking each other for not picking Sarah.
Well, I have Sarah on my other draft, so I was trying to change it up a little bit.
That's
but
so
like,
funny.
I was just hoping that Naya was going to. I mean, we didn't know what the teams were. If I knew these were the teams, I wouldn't have taken Naya this high. Just because Argentina was going to have the hardest time. We talked about it, the language barrier, etc., was going to be problematic for them, most likely. But yeah, knowing that she was partnered with them, yes, she did have numbers, but if she's not going to do well in the challenge and going to be thrown in, like, it's hard to stay in the game. So that's really sad, though. I'm bummed. But okay, so who do you have next? So we're going up to what, number 13 now?
We're starting at 12 because there's only 12 teams left at this moment.
Gosh, 12 teams left. Okay, so in my 12th position, actually, I'm just going to close this for now. I have, if it will show me, 1 second. I actually put Kellyanne and Tristan in the bottom spot here. Now, they weren't last. They were pretty fast, but I found that they didn't put themselves in a better position in the game. And it seemed like Tristan is like not happy to have Kellyanne as his partner. And he's kind of complaining to Zara about this. Now, granted, yes, Zara and Wes did win the daily, and so they were able to keep them safe, but they still were voted in by the house. And so they're not in any better position necessarily than they were before.
Okay. Yeah, I'm totally down. This was difficult for me because I was going back and forth between Tristan and Kellyanne and Jody and Benha as the bottom team.
Yeah, they're beside each other for me, so we can talk about them.
Yes, same here. That's why I'm cool with defaulting to Tristan and Kellyanne being on the bottom, because they were nominated again, and because of the reasoning that Wes and Zara won, that they didn't get sent into elimination, because they could have easily been resent into elimination if maybe they nominated somebody else different next to them, if it wasn't Jody and Benha, or if another team won, that they would just send in Tristan and Kellyanne again. I didn't want to put Jody and Benha in the bottom because of how they've been performing in the 2 daily challenges, especially this past week's daily challenge and the elimination. They at least won the elimination because they can compete. The one thing that stinks is that they can't work together inside the house when it comes to strategy, politics, or even being on the same page just socially. But when it comes to actually playing the games, they're able to like be on the same page. They have this like the talking. They can communicate during the daily challenges. They work well with each other. They got 3rd place this week. They got 4th or 5th place in the first game, and then they got the win here in the elimination. The only thing that worries me is that they really don't have anybody else in the game. They are the last team standing for Argentina, and that could be a really, really easy target for them just to be nominated at least every single week. Where at least Kellyanne and Tristan have Zara and kind of Jordan and Kaz, who were kind of looking out for him, maybe. So it's difficult.
Yeah, so I put them a little bit ahead just for the same reasons that you mentioned. Like they dominated in the arena. They were able to work well together. I had faith in them going down and coming back out. And I think that that says a lot. I don't know if Kellyanne and Tristan would have done as well. Again, I know that like Naya and Rodrigo, they spilled the oil to make it more challenging for themselves, and he had the injury. But like Kellyanne freaks out, and I could see her easily freaking out over this one and not coming back into the game. And so I think for the fact that they were calm, cool, and collected, they pretty easily seemingly won that elimination. I thought it was impressive. They also weren't bad in the Gates of Hell.
Yeah.
I think they made it to just the almost the second to last round, which is also pretty impressive. So yeah, I think that they just might be a better competitor. I agree with you that the chances are of them being thrown in again are high, but they also might be able to kind of fall into the shadows now because like, okay, there's only one team Argentina left. They're not dominating here anymore. Like there's not a real threat. So they might use them as a number maybe to get out another team that is more threatening. So they might be left alone for a little bit because yeah, you kind of sometimes you're going to need numbers to be able to take out other numbers. And so somebody might scoop up Benha and Jody. And I'm hoping that it's like Wes that does it, Kellyanne and all the people that are kind of on the outside, like Darrell and Kiki, coming together to, as much as I love Danny, he's on Team USA and I'm not Team USA right now. You know what I mean? I'm more team everybody else coming for them. So yeah, hopefully all the outsiders get together and like join some forces and don't just go after Benha and Jody and Tristan and Kellyanne. I hope that something switches up. But likely it's not going to happen. So that's why I have them in the 12 and 11 spot.
All right. Sounds good.
You're fine. You had it flipped?
I had them both very similar. I think just because they were the last place and moving forward, or not the last place, but the last Argentina team, and knowing that could be spelling bad news. But then again, we've seen on like Survivor where one person comes in into a fully formed tribe, then it's like, oh, well, now that could be the swing vote. So you never know if people will not look at Jody and Benha as like a target anymore just because they are one person and they don't think that they can win anything, that they'll just move on to maybe bigger fish to fry, where maybe Jody and Benha can like start to fall between the cracks and maybe wiggle their way up further down the line. But you never know in this game what could happen.
All right. Well, who do you have next to?
I hate to say it, but I guess I'm gonna say Amber and Troy.
There you go.
Really haven't seen too much of them. Yeah. I do think that they're willing to make a move, but because like Troy is one of the smallest guys, you have Amber who isn't really looked at as a best buddy of any of the big numbers in the house, whether it's Tori, Casey, Wes, or I think Jordan would look out for Amber, but I think to a certain extent, Bananas isn't really close with her. So I think they're able to stay in the middle of the pack. But with that, I don't think they have much power in the game. And I don't think that they have been doing extremely well in daily challenges. But they have been doing a good job staying under the radar, being two champs paired up together. But I just don't think they have that much power.
No power, no confessionals. No, the only thing that we really saw that I'm remembering anyways is Troy listening to Wes a little bit. And so that's could be one good thing is that like if Troy, I know that we see Grant having a little bit of pushback, thinking that, Wes is a snake and he's really smart. I don't remember if Troy had a similar confessional, but if Troy is kind of enamored by Wes, the Wes of it all, and he gets pulled in by Wes, like I think that could be helpful for Amber's game being on that side, like the anti-USA side. So potentially they could do better, but I'm not scared of them. Like I would be scared of them going down into the sand with them. I wouldn't be scared. I'd be scared of winning a final against them, absolutely. But right now they're just not intimidating, and I just don't. I think that they're going to be gone soon.
Okay. Yeah, I could see where you're coming from.
Like I don't see them winning. Because as soon as like if you think about it, as soon as like Tristan, Kellyanne, Benha, and Jody go, they're going to be the next people that people are going to come for. I think.
Yeah, possibly. I don't know. It seems like there is a alliance between USA and Australia,
That's
which
true.
is
That's true.
nice, but yeah,
That's no,
I don't know.
that's true. But like, they also will eventually have to turn on each other.
Very true. Yeah.
But maybe UK might go first, because then if Kellyanne's gone, there'll be only 2 UK teams left. But that one of that is West, so I don't think that they're going to outlast West personally. And who's the other team? Jordan and Kaz. I don't think they'll outlast them. So we'll see.
Yeah, I could see them being closer at the bottom. That if Jody and Benha were to have gone, and Kellyanne, I mean, they could be the next ones up.
Mm-hmm.
Possibly.
Oh my god, are we gonna be in lockstep the whole way through? Okay, my next pick.
Probably not. I don't
Oh.
think you have your number 9 is my number 9.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it Yes and Emily?
Mine is not Yes and Emily.
Oh, well, I put Yes and Emily here because, we hear Yes being like, oh, I don't want Wes to have any power because, like, I trust a stranger more than I trust Wes. But, like, yes, because Wes has power doesn't mean, like, it's the house that throws you in. So, like, I just thought it was kind of like a dumb comment to make, where it didn't really matter. As long as the house is on your side, it doesn't matter Wes being in power for him specifically. We didn't see that much of them. I don't know. Did they get to the last round or the second last round? No, I think they got out the first round. No.
Yeah, they were eliminated.
So I don't know. I didn't see that much from them this
They were
episode.
the mass exodus.
Yeah, see, that's made it hard for me to rank here. You're right, though. Emily is probably in with Sarah a little bit. We didn't see more of that relationship, unless I'm forgetting something. So I didn't give her more credit for being in with the US, because I didn't see that much this episode. But what were your thoughts? Do you have them really high?
No, I have them 8th.
Oh, okay.
So not too far off.
This is 9, correct?
Yes, this is 9. So
okay.
I do see where you're coming from, because with Emily, I just think that Emily with Sarah's connection and with the USA versus with the Australia and USA alliance, I think that they hold a better chance with each other. And there's something with Yes. There's something with Yes. I mean, we have these All-Star 3 contestants, these legends that could be easy bait, easy for all the challenge main ship show people that have been on the challenge doing all the seasons with each other. Yet Yes is just like chilling. He's just in the middle of everything. He's not poking up his head because he doesn't need to. He's letting all the other people flap their gums and make themselves targets, like Wes with the other Australian, with Grant and Troy and Bananas and Casey talking about Wes. And then you have people wanting to target Jordan and Wes, and people are getting frustrated with Bananas, but Yes can just sit there with a very strong partner in Emily and kind of sit there in the alliance, kind of basking in the glory. Do they have a lot of power? I don't think so, but they don't really need it at this point, because Yes knows be strategic, just get into the fold. And then at certain points when bigger names start leaving, that's when you can start making your move. But I have them at 8. I actually have, I know people are going to be very upset by this, but I have Jordan and Kaz, as I named Jazz as number 9, because of how much their names are being put out there. Yes, they got to be not thrown in, and that Jordan was able to get a whole bunch of numbers to help not throw him in, but he loses a number in Naya, who was a personal number for him. And getting your name kind of like tossed out there can be a little bit nervous, So I decided to put Jordan and Kaz down lower than a lot of people probably have them.
I mean, I had them a lot higher. I do see your point. Like, he does lose a number in Naya, and so that does hurt his game quite a bit. But I feel like people are more scared of him than they are of Yes and Emily, and I just feel like Yes and Emily might get thrown in before they do. Who do you have at 7?
At number 7, I have Darrell and Kiki. Because Darrell seemed to be the major one to really dissuade uh Team Australia for voting Jordan and Kaz in. Like, he was the one that really persuaded everybody. Like, Grant was talking a big game to everybody in the room, and it seemed like everybody was listening to him. And then Darrell came in as the 4-time champ, and Grant laid out the plan, being like, "Look what I came up with." And Darrell was like, "Yeah, that's not going to happen." And then it was like, plan thrown out the window. We're voting in Jody and Benhan. We're going to be voting in Kellyanne and Tristan, whatever. This was all for naught, kind of thing. So I just thought that Darrell was able to like wiggle his weight a little bit in that room.
Well,
But
I had them a little bit higher for the fact that Kiki was able to dive and evade being the bottom two, and where they would have to go into the arena. So I kind of had them a little bit higher because of that reason. I have them in, I guess, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
okay.
I'm gonna agree with you then with the Jordan and Kaz of it all. So you're gonna have them at, what is that, eight now? Hold on, nine. Okay, so Jordan and Kaz are at 9. Is that what we're saying?
Okay.
Because I don't remember everything about Jordan and Kaz this week, but a big good point though with the fact that Naya's gone. That's not great for him. The fact that like it seems like Danny's coming for him, not great. Same with Sarah's probably coming for him. Like I think that they're worried about running a final against him, and it seems like Danny is not going to let it go. It seems like this is going to be something that blows up later down the road. So yeah, I could see them going down a couple times if they're not in power. So you're right.
And you also mentioned that if the Team US MVPs really dug in their heels, that Dory may crumble as well at a certain point. So to not have herself go in or anything like that. So yeah, it'll be interesting, because I could see a lot of people who are on board to want to vote in Jordan, and people who have gone against him who should want him gone. You know, like Theo lost to Jordan. I think that's his only elimination loss for his challenge career, is against Jordan in a sledgehammer competition. You have Darrell, who lost against him in All Stars 3 in an endurance competition. And Bananas and Wes should know firsthand how good Jordan is. So it's interesting that he was able to get the protection now, but how long will it last? And as we mentioned, with Team UK numbers are dwindling with only 3 teams left, and then Kellyanne and Tristan are hanging on by a thread. You never know. And then Wes's name is being brought out there. It's going to be interesting. It's just interesting.
It's just interesting. Well, so yeah, Yes and Emily are next then. I think you have Darrell after them, correct?
Yes, I have them at number 7.
I had your girl, Janae and Grant in the 7th position.
Okay, I had them 6.
Okay, so I just feel more confident or comfortable having them in 7th, just because I don't think that they're in that great of a position. Like, yes, they didn't go in this time around, but I just kind of feel like the move that they made that first couple episodes, I just think that it just painted them in a light where people don't necessarily care to protect them. And so I could see them easily be tossed in eventually.
Okay, yeah, I'm cool.
And I think Grant's a bit of a loose cannon as well, you know?
Yeah, I can see that for sure. And I think that maybe with the I think we had them 7th last week as well. So they're
right in the middle.
Sticking into the middle here. And I think Grant was just so excited to want to take a big shot at somebody, whether it be Wes or Jordan, and defaulting to whatever Darrell was going to say, I think just shows like maybe Darrell has a little bit more say than Grant at the end of the day, when Danny seemed to be the one putting out Jordan and Wes's name, to where Grant was finally like, cool, let's do it. And then turned down. So he was given the idea by somebody and then turned down by somebody else for that idea. So maybe Grant and Janae aren't super masterminds at this point to make the moves or push for any moves.
Nope, not anymore. It also very much annoyed me at the beginning of the episode when Janae was talking to Ben and just being like, yeah, she yelled at me at the top of her lungs, and I was like, and they showed the clip, and I'm like, unless there's another clip, but they're just slicing together it with this, where Kellyanne was not screaming at her at the top of her lungs at all. Like, it was just very annoying just to hear that she's just trying to, in my opinion, play more of the victim and have people be like, oh my God, she's like a liability. We got to get her out of here. And I'm just like, be a better friend, Johnny. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know. It's just like how she's treating Kellyanne. Yes, Kellyanne is overreacting and is hurt and is being wild. You know, fine. But she knows that that's part of Kellyanne. That's what we know. Kellyanne is going to freak out. She's going to act this way. Like, it's not the first time she's acted this way when someone goes across her. And so the fact that she's like surprised by this reaction, like, anyways, it's annoying. So yeah, she's not in my good books right now, even though she's on both of my drafts.
Okay, I can see where you're coming from.
So that means that next we have Darrell and Kiki. Like you said, like, they're doing pretty well. I love the fact that she dived. She remembered she was still in the game. And that's what I'm saying. She wants it more than Naya wanted it. And so she made sure that she kept them out of being in the bottom. Not in this episode, but we know last episode she's kind of hanging closer to Bananas, which hopefully will just help keep her and Darrell a little bit safe for a little while. Darrell is really good at just kind of laying back and like, you know, staying in the shadows a little bit and not really making any waves. And Matthew here is saying that he feels like Darrell would just ride the majority and then he'll be the first one that they sacrifice, which is possible. This is kind of his new story for, you know, Darrell 2.0 seasons of the challenge. But maybe they'll be able to change that because Kiki does have more fight in her, I think, than Darrell does right now, just because she's new. She's new to the game. So 6.
Yeah, Darrell really reminds me of like a Landon in the case that they don't really like working in alliances very much when they first were starting out. And he didn't really need to worry about alliances when in the beginning of his challenge career because there wasn't really that many of them. I mean, your alliance was your team, and Darrell was always the best player. Like nobody wanted to go up against him. I loved Darrell in All Stars 2, where it was him in a warring alliance with another big alliance in the house. And that was where it kind of reminded me of Landon in Fresh Meat 2, where he didn't want to be in alliances, but he remembered what happened in the Duel 2, where he got kind of scummed out of being in the finals because he was not in with the bros as much as the other bros were. So he was voted in and then he was ultimately taken out too, where in Fresh Me Too, he was like, I want in. Like, I want to be somebody's number. And he was able to flip-flop back and forth between the two alliances and make it to the finals. So when I saw Darrell play in All-Stars 2, I was like, yes, this is what we need. We need Darrell having strategic motivation and to have thought going into a season and get into the politics and get strong into alliance. But the last few seasons that we've seen of him, it's All-Stars 3, where he tries to play the fence and then gets thrown in and gets eliminated. And then 38, where he's not really playing with the vets and he's not really playing with the rookies. And then him and Veronica are just a casualty to going in against Amber and Chauncey, who are also kind of on the outside of everything. So I kind of wish Darrell would come in and be like, we should make a move. You know, we should make a move. We should really split up the house, try to get some numbers on our side. And I would rather go out swinging than kind of be floating around just to wait to be thrown into an elimination against people that don't have your back at all. So I don't know. It's a double-edged sword. I love Darrell. I want to see him make it far. I like Kiki. I want to see her make it far, but I don't know. It's difficult. I hope they can do it.
And also, with Natalia's comment here, Australia has some infighting, and it isn't the most cohesive team. That's really true, because eventually, if they need to sacrifice someone from Team Australia, they'll probably choose this team because of the friction with Emily and Kiki. So it's worrisome, but we'll see if Emily and Yes can get there and get along far enough to be able to, you know, outlast these two. But We will see. We will see. Okay, who do you have in your number or their next spot? Number 5.
Number 5, I have. All right, so I'm going
It's hard.
basically
It's all hard
who I
right
have
now. Mhm.
who I have in 3 through 5. I could see going anywhere, but
So let's just
my
talk it through because I wasn't 100% sure.
okay. So initially, I put Wes and Zara in 5 for the sole fact that their names are being brought up. They did win this past week's daily challenge, but I have a feeling that if they trip up, kind of like how Wes did, but they can't recover as quickly, their names could be said sooner rather than later. As I know Tori mentioned Wes as being a part of the 4-person alliance that they have, that if Wes and Jordan say either mine or Casey's name, then it's done. We're done with it. But I can see that being the compromise of it's either Jordan and Kaz or it's Wes and Zara, and Tori will default for saying Wes and Zara, and Casey wouldn't have a problem saying Wes's name. And I'm sure Jordan is not going to be, will probably burn vote to not have to say Wes and Zara's name in case they come back. And then everybody else in the U.S. would say Wes's name. Even Bananas, who is friends but knows he would want to take a shot at Wes and make it farther than Wes because there's always going to be that rivalry. So
Well, I personally think, well, I had Wes and Zara in the number 1 position for this particular week for the fact that, yeah, people were saying their name and they could be like, ha, you can't say my name because I'm in power. And I like the fact that they upset everybody's potential plans by getting in power. They unknowingly weakened Jordan because are him and Jordan working together? I guess they could be. They should be actually because they're both on UK.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering if weakening Jordan will be helpful for him, just so that they won't look as big of a threat, you know?
True.
I mean, yeah, there people are saying their name, but I felt like this particular episode is what I was looking at, and I felt that they were the strongest team this episode. They won the daily, they made the best decision for themselves. They kept Kellyanne in the game, which it's going to be a target outside of them, but be it someone from the UK, and you kind of want to keep your UK numbers as strong as you can so that people aren't going to want to target you. And so I just feel like they did well this episode. And so that's why I put them in the top spot.
Okay.
I had in this position, I had Bananas and Justine.
Okay. I had them 3rd, but
Okay.
I was going back and forth between putting them 3rd or 4th. Or even 5th.
Well, I mean, we didn't see that much from them, right? We saw Bananas being like, oh, Wes is going around talking to people and, laughing with Casey about it. But then they didn't come in and win any power. So, like, they couldn't even do anything about it. So I thought it was, like, all talk but no action. We saw Justine, I think, in, like, one confessional with Bananas, and she didn't really say much. I haven't heard much from Justine in a while. So I don't know. I just don't feel like they're moving the needle as much as I would have hoped to put them in a higher position.
So I put them at number 3 because Bananas, with the help of Tori and all the other legends, was able to dissuade the power move of sending in Jordan and Kaz as a nomination. So I gave him kind of like a bonus point for not manipulation, but like persuasion. And then we haven't heard much from Justine out of the first 2 episodes where she got like 14 confessionals in the first 2 episodes and then nothing since then. But what I thought was very interesting was Justine is like the liaison in both the Legends talk and the MVP talk, because when everybody is out on the balcony talking about the vote, and I'm talking about when the Legends are out there, you see Bananas, Jordan, Theo, and Tori, and the only MVP out there was Justine. And then Justine is also in the room with the Legends after the vote when they're all talking like they need to realize that we're the numbers and everything. And Justine's the only legend in there as well. Then also after that vote, she goes to the MVP's bedrooms to talk to Danny, Ben, and Sarah. And she's like, well, we just need to collect ourselves. So she's basically the double agent that is the only person in the middle of everything. The only worry I have for Justine is that she is like the lone U.S. survivor, U.S. Challenger that isn't from Survivor. So I worry if
Mm.
like if it comes down to a US player needing to go in, that it could be Bananas and Justine. One, because people are not the biggest fans in this house of Bananas. We haven't really seen that, but from the podcast episodes, it doesn't seem like everybody's vibing with Bananas. And then also all the Survivor US players may have each other's backs before they have Justine's, who's the only Love Island contestant there. So I don't know. That's where I have them. That's where I like.
So you had them in
third
three or
place.
three. Okay, so then who did you have in 4? Our numbers are so muddled up. We haven't made any decisions yet.
Well, I felt like who the MVPs and I felt like the legends of all the US contestants of the US challengers have the most sway in this game, as they're really collected together,
Mhm.
as well as all the US challengers seem to be flexing on everybody. So that's why I have 1, 2, 3, and 4 of all the US contestants having the power in the house to do whatever they want, slash not really nervous about going into elimination. So I basically have all my top 4 are all the US challenger and the US team. So I had Ken, which is Ben and Casey, as number 4, but I could easily see
I
them
have
going to number 5 as they're nothing or not
Okay.
doing enough.
I would rather put them, I think, at well, I had them ahead of Bananas and Justine, but you're right. She has been a bit of a double agent. Another podcaster was calling her a snitch. I was like, ooh. Double agent sounds a lot better.
Yeah, I don't think she was snitching on anybody. It seemed like she was trying to be like on both sides of things and not really like if she ran to Bananas and was like, Sarah's saying this about you, then I think I would deem her a snitch. But it seems like she's more playing both sides of everything.
Yeah. I haven't decided what I feel yet, but so we're gonna put then Casey and Ben at 5. Is that what we're saying?
If you want to.
Oh, and then, can you put Casey and Ben at 5? Then I would be willing to drop Wes down to 4, and then we'll still renegotiate the 1, 2, 3.
Well, if you have here real quick, if you have Wes and Zara as number 1, I had them at number 5. That would average out to number 3.
Okay.
So if you want to put them at number 3 and Bananas and Justine at 4,
yeah,
I could be down with that.
Ben and Casey at 5, and then would you call them Basie?
It's either Basie or Ken.
Oh, Ken.
But so Chris in last night's Bakery After Hours for Patreon, she said that it should be Ken because then it's like her brother Kenneth, who is also very boring, since both Ben and Casey didn't get a single confessional this past week.
Okay. Ken it is, even though Basie's kind of funny. Okay, so Ken is number 5, correct?
Yes.
All right. Well, do we have anything else to say about them? Well, it looks like next week that Ben's gonna like turn on Team USA. So, how do you think that's gonna go down? Like, what do you think is gonna happen?
I don't know. You know what's really kind of frustrating, because I think that there's some comments where like they should have each individual votes, because that would have made a lot.
Yeah, I don't understand why they don't. Why do they have to vote as a team? Vote who you want to vote in.
Yeah, I don't get that either, because that would make things a lot more interesting if the global MVPs could vote differently than their US counterparts or their MTV Legend counterparts.
Yeah.
Because that would make it a lot more interesting at the end of the day, because then they could be like, well, we have power too, instead of having to agree. Because what if one team can't agree? Will TJ be making a house call? I wonder what would happen. I feel like we're going to find out here soon, but it does seem like Ben and Casey, maybe Ben's going to fold instead of Danny and Sarah, who are like, because that's another thing. What if there are talks of a stalemate and then nobody knows what's going to happen? And Danny's like, I don't care what Tori says. I'm going to vote this way. Tori can vote that way, but I'm going to hold my ground. Sarah's going to say she's going to hold her ground. But then if Ben doesn't, then that's going to completely change everything and kind of leave sort of Danny and Sarah maybe flapping in the wind if Ben's going to be like, whatever Casey wants, you know?
Yeah, I agree, Joanne. I think he's about to do a punk move. He always does stuff like that. It's like as soon as like I'm like not disliking him, he's gonna do something that's gonna make me dislike him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what it is. But I'm looking forward to see what he does. I am. But he's in number 5, him and Casey here. So that means number 4 is going to be what's their ship name for?
I couldn't tell you.
Janana?
Janana. I
Justana?
don't want to be Bustine or anything like that. That doesn't make any sense.
Or Tinanas?
This one was the most difficult one.
Teen Ban? Banatine?
Banatine? That sounds like that sounds like something that comes in a tube at like CVS.
Okay, yeah, Banatine tube. I guess we're going to workshop that. Did you guys have any suggestions in the chat as to what their ship name is? No idea. Jananas? I guess that's the...
It's almost like Banani, but just swapping out the B. But yeah, we could just do Jananas.
Jananas it is. Jananas it is. Number 4 is where they are at. Yeah, we've already kind of talked about them. I'm not that impressed with either of them at this episode. You know, especially since Bananas is saying he's the most entertaining person on the season and like like literally yawning. So like what's going on? I don't know. Maybe there's more happening that we haven't seen yet, or he knows what's to come. And he's just kind of like hyped for what he might what it's going to be happening down the road. But as of right now, he's meh. But he's on Team USA, which is the most dominant force in the game so far. So number 4.
I mean, he was saying the same thing about the Challenge 38. And then
true.
when I watched, when I listened to him and Devin's podcast together, which was awful, they were talking about like, I can't believe they're not showing all of our pranks. We were having a great time. We were doing this and this and this. And I mean, some of the pranks, I was like, yeah, they could have shown that, but maybe it just wasn't good enough, guys. Like maybe it wasn't as funny as you thought it was, you know?
Yeah, maybe it was
so maybe he's playing more
something.
pranks. Yeah, maybe they're playing more pranks and it's just not being shown.
And Joanne really doesn't like this picture of Bananas.
It's a lot of gray. It's either his cheeks are showing up or there's a lot of gray on the sides of the beard. But I don't have much to talk about because I got gray in my beard coming in. So,
ooh,
yeah, I blame Kara and Paulie.
I mean, pranks can be funny. I work for an airline, and the pilots always do pranks on the new flight attendants. So pranks don't actually get old.
Where they drop the oxygen masks and tell everybody we're going down.
Oh my God, that's not a good prank. That's not a nice prank at all. No, it would be things like making them get like air samples. Like, so they take like a plastic bag, and they like, we need an air sample from like the middle of the plane or the back of the plane. It's like, it's at the top by the overhead bin. So they're like jumping and like trying to catch air with these plastic bags. Stuff like that. Harmless. But like, why would you do it? I don't know. You're new. But I still get a chuckle when people actually follow through with it. All right, so number 3. So this is also 3 spots where we have Wes and Zara. You're correct.
Yeah.
Wes and Zara. I love Wes and Zara, to be honest, right now. The fact that they just are going against not going with the grain, they're going against it. Like, I love Zara being so excited to be under Wes's tutelage. You know, she's just like, what are we doing? I'm like, oh yeah, animal instinct. And I just find her playing off of him really fun, just going along with what Wes is doing. It's just making it, for me, very enjoyable. And they're just my favorite team duo right now to watch. They're just fun to me.
They're giving the most entertainment, and it's not just because they win this past week. They do a lot of stuff well. Like Wes is just has to be production's favorite in the sense that he has a lot of sound bites. They're having fun editing him in a way that he's like they're fast forwarding him speaking quickly in the first episode of him going on and on about himself, and then this past week he's doing the same thing, and then Being able to perform well, coming off on camera really well, and then Zara absolutely beasting it out, doing really well, and having the moment of the season so far with them waiting for the next round to start, and she just double flips the bird over to Tori, who she was like arm battling with in the last scene. It's just really, really good stuff. And I would love to see Zara on the main ship show. And yeah, it's just really, really good. I think the only thing that I had to ding them on was their name being popped up. That if they weren't winning, then their names would have been floated around the most, since it seemed like Danny agreed that Tori would never say Jordan's name. And so it was kind of like, we should go for Wes. And it seemed like Troy and Grant also wanted to do that as well. And you never know what could happen when lines start to get pushed. Who's actually going to come out on the other side. I do agree, though, that Wes and Zara are a very strong team, that if they do go into elimination, I think that they could win.
For sure. Against most people at this point. I have a lot of faith in them. And Wes is a smart enough player that I could see him pulling out a back-to-back win himself, you know? She's a partner a good partner for him to do it, just for the fact that like she doesn't take offense to Wes's ego and like his macho-ness and like, I know everything, I am right, I'm the best. Like, it doesn't bother her at all. She just eats it up. And I think that that's the type of partner that Wes needs to kind of mold into D 2.0. So Sophie's surprised that we haven't seen some of these MVPs on the main show before. I could see Zara getting a call into the main show, Kaz even onto the main show. Like, I could see them fitting in.
Grant could be a big one too.
Yeah, maybe.
He's a little bit more likable this season than his original season.
Yes,
so
agreed. But like, I don't know. He's just he kind of annoys me.
Troy would be a good person to bring on too.
I'll take him.
Theo, I want to see him back on the main ship show.
Absolutely.
I would love for him to actually come back and show everybody up. So that'd be awesome.
Yeah, for sure. Kiki, yeah, I can see her going over there as well. Would be great. Okay, so now we are Justine. In our Justine. Absolutely. I mean, anybody on Team USA, I can see. Well, maybe not Sarah and Ben. They just might be too.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Adult. They're just too adult. I think that I don't know. They just don't have the vibe for me. But I can see Danny doing it just because it's his favorite show. And so if he could get on it, I think he would take the opportunity, even though it's long.
Well, he also said he would do it because apparently Kiki always wants him to be on. So, I mean, if they call and even offer it to him, Kiki would tell him, go. Do it. And I would love to see it. I mean, if we could have CT and Danny on a challenge season together, I think that would be the battle of the pops, because they just come off as like, we're very likable. They have amazing social games. People know that they're a threat, but they're cool with them. And it's like, I would just love to see them war against each other, or just come together and be like, we'll see you in the finals. You know, it would be very interesting.
All right. Very interesting it is. So who did you have in your top two? Number two.
At number two, I have... See, this is difficult now. My 1 and 2, I think, could switch this past week's episode, because I put Dory at number 2, which is Danny and Tori.
Oh, I put them at number 1. Well, now, because I moved Wes down.
Well, I can see them being put into number 1, because they did have a lot of influence this past week. You have Danny trying to put the pressure on either Wes and Jordan. He's putting a lot of pressure on the MTV Legends to make a decision. He was the one in the front lines doing a lot more talking than Sarah, who we saw doing that in the first 1 to 2 episodes. So if we're going over who had the most influence, it has to be Danny and Tori from this past week, because one, they got second place in the daily challenge. They were really, really strong, but they just aren't seeing eye to eye with each other. But they also had the influence to push Jordan and Kaz's name out there. And then Tori had to come in and push for that not to happen.
Right.
And then they had to agree to not happen. So I could easily put Danny and Tori up at number 1 as being in the power rankings to have the most influence.
Yeah, I like that's kind of why I put them there. Like they were really close to winning this daily, and if they had won, like, yeah, I think that it would have been an explosive week for sure. I wonder like what would have ended up happening because yeah, I think Danny is going to exert his power and he's going to take a stand. And I don't think Tori's going to like that because she's used to playing with people that like do what she does, what she says, and like they're in an alliance. We know not to go against the alliance. You know, she's not used to having someone that's going to be give her any sort of pushback. So it would be kind of fun here to see if that had happened, but it didn't. But they came in second, and so I felt that they should be in the second position. But since now Wes is down to third, I have them at number one. So
I could see that. Just when they start to like bicker at each other and their team starts to crumble a little bit, they're gonna fall. They're gonna fall just slightly.
well, then that's the week that we'd rank them lower.
Yeah.
In my opinion. And then so we have in second place here then Theo and Sarah.
No.
We didn't see as much as we had seen maybe last week between the two of them, but they are in a really strong position. I think it's really good that Sarah and Danny are sticking together. And you know, Sarah's like, okay, we let them win this time, but next week they're going to have to listen to what we have to say. And so next week is coming, and I want to see them dig their heels in and get their way. So it's going to be very interesting for sure. I actually really like this team. I love Theo. They were pretty good at the daily as well. Well, at least Theo was. We saw him out in front for most of the rounds. So yeah, I have them in. They're in third place or second place for me now.
Yeah, Theo did really well. He was able to get inside the area, but Sarah wasn't able to keep up. I think that they are going to be a force to be reckoned with. They are a very intimidating team. They're a team that nobody really wants to be to take a shot at this moment. And Sarah seems to be, I don't know, she seems to be like in the driver's seat. Like everything goes through her. She approves of certain things. She seems to be the one that's really going to be pushing for the MTV or the MVP. Gosh, I hate these things. The MVP agenda of making a power move by what it sounds like at the end of this episode. And I know Theo really wants to win this game, and he knows what production is looking for. He's not afraid to kind of like stir the pot a little bit. I think he knows the kind of power he has in this game, and he's willing to just go with it. You know, it helps out that he hasn't been on the show in quite a while, so he doesn't have these like, he has friendships, but they're not as strong if he would have been on 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, and 38 coming into this season. So I think he knows that this is the time to prove to everybody that I'm here, I'm back, and I'm back to win. So I'm hoping he's willing to play ball when Sarah says, hey, we should do this. And he goes, do we have the numbers? Yes, let's go. Let's do it. So
like, do you think that they were
hoping.
setting us up for when we're seeing them talk to Rodrigo about him and Kaz are in a good place, they have a good friendship now? Are they showing us that because they know down the line that Theo and Sarah are going to be coming for Jordan and Kaz is attached to Jordan?
Well, there was a point in, I think, the first one or two episodes it was like episode 2, I think, that Theo talked about how that him and Kaz are in a good spot right now. But if she's willing to go after him, he's not going to be afraid to say her name to go after her. So I'm ready. I mean, even Theo knows how good of a player Jordan is by him losing to him in War of the Worlds 2 to send him home finally in his challenge career, that I don't think he will be worried about taking shots, you know? So I just pray that when the time comes that Theo won't just won't fold to the KC Tory Vacation Alliance ways and actually be like, yeah, let's play ball. We got this. Because I know he knows that how good of a partner Sarah can be. I mean, he has to know that she's walking around, kind of pulling her weight, shuffling around like she's the kingpin right now. Like, I got this. I'm in a good spot with the Team USA. Let's just make some moves, you know? He knows that Kaz won. He knows that Jordan won War of the Worlds too. Like, let's do it. He knows Wes could be smarmy and he took out Bananas in a past season. So he's got to know the people that are the strongest. And if he takes out A, B, and C, there's nobody there to stop him. So we'll have to wait and see.
I know it's getting good. I mean, actually, every episode's been good so far, in my opinion.
Oh, can we see who? Can we see
Woo!
who? Yeah, I was gonna say we should show who we ranked number 1 this past week.
Danny,
at this moment.
Look at who we got number 1. Thanks for joining us. Yes, we did rank you and Dory, team number 1 this week. We felt that you guys really, you nearly won that daily, which was a pretty challenging daily. Yeah. And you guys are in a really good position in the house. I think the Team USA is the team that everybody's going to be coming for, but you guys are so powerful and you guys have so many connections that like it's kind of impenetrable right now. And so we think that you're in the top spot this week, you and Tori, and we are really excited to see how your partnership fares next week or the coming weeks, because we know that there's going to be a little bit of headbutting that might happen. So we're looking forward to seeing what goes down. Sweet. So let's just go through our entire list for this week. Down at the bottom, sorry, Kellyanne and Tristan. I mean, I feel bad. I want Kellyanne to do better, but I don't know if this is her season. Benha and Jody coming up next. Oh, Danny says it's about to get crazy. Yes, I'm so pumped. Jordan and Kaz, number 9. That's pretty far. 8 is going to be Yes and Emily. 7, Grant and John A. I wonder if they're going to go up or down next week. Darrell and Kiki at number 6. Ben and Casey, numero 5. Bananas and Justine, number 4, even though Danny is not buying anything that Bananas has to say. Wes and Zara, number 3. Theo and Sarah are at numero 2. And it's Danny and Tori taking out our number 1 power ranking position for this week. Congrats. Well, now that we've gone through our rankings, do you have any points for us? What's going on?
Yes, just to remind everybody, when you said that that Jordan and Kaz were pretty low, they were 3rd last week. We ranked them number 3rd, and now they're number 9. And
That's
it's all
far.
because Naya left and their names are being said out there. Yes, I do have some numbers for everybody, and I'm not gonna lie, I was freaking out for Team Bakery over here because Team Chris had Wes on his team, and he also had Benha. So that was an easy 8 points for Chris to get, along with all the other confessionals. I thought I was going to be completely in 3rd place again. However, Team Chris stays in 3rd place. He gets 35 total points this past week, getting to 127 total points. Still, the only person that has been eliminated from his team is Claudia. And up at the top, of course, he has 2 players. His 2 highest scoring players are Wes and Benha with both 23 points.
Wow.
Each. Now, Team Bakery in 2nd place. We even scored more points than Chris this past week, only by 2. So we scored a total of 37 points this past week. So we we get a bigger lead on Chris, just slightly. But we have 136 total points, a 9-point lead now, and our high scoring player is Tristan at 26 points. No, Kellyanne is 31 points, and then Tristan is our 2nd highest point getter with 26 points, all because of last week mainly. And Team Chantele, even though she was going into the week with 2 people gone, with Hui and Nelson, you still scored more points than Chris and I, with 43 total points this past week. You had Zara on your team, so she helped you get a win. You also lost Naya, so that's not great going into next week with 3 people down. But you still have a pretty commanding lead with a total of 164 total points. And your high scorer is Grant, who was your second to last pick in the whole draft.
Yep.
Was Grant, and they got you 32 points. And then your next highest scorer is Zara, who was your last woman pick with 27 points. So you're getting the value there.
Yes.
And you're over us by 28 points. So congratulations there. 28-point lead on us.
Keep up the good work. I'll do my best. I'll be praying. I'll be praying and praying and praying and praying. Yes, Zara, go on and win. Make me win. Make me a winner. I totally forgot about a game this week. So you're off the hook this week, Drew, unless you have a game for me.
I do not. I was nervous about the game that you had set up for
honestly,
me.
I totally forgot because I was away, and then I was like, oh, just set it up, and then I'm like, oh, shoot, I didn't think of a game. Maybe I can think of one on the spot. Hold on, let's look at Twitter. Let's see what Twitter has for us, but I don't think it has. What's the trending hashtag for the season?
I have no clue.
It's
a long one. If it's
the
Challenge World Championships, it's rough.
Oh, well, there is that one going.
Yeah, they need a different one. They need like Challenge WC or something. They need a smaller hashtag because I don't think anybody's really using it. Also, it's really difficult to do a hashtag with a streaming show, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't have any good ones. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm going to make a really hard one for you next time.
No.
Yeah. No, I mean a good hard one. I think I'm going to do like a morph one, I think, or something. We like.
How about we do a game with Chris?
Oh.
How about you put him to the fire?
Okay, so yeah, maybe I'll surprise Chris. So yes, everybody. So next week things are going to be a little bit different. I know somebody was asking where's the Aussie. Chris isn't even Australian. He lives in New Zealand, and he is actually South African. But yes, on that side of the world in the future. So next week at our regular time slot, which is 8 p.m. Eastern, we're going to go live on the Nullified Takes channel to do just an up until episode 5 kind of recap of what we're thinking about the season. And I will surprise Chris and Drew with a game that they will both be able to play, and maybe we'll have them face off against each other or something like that. So we're going to be doing that at 8 p.m. Eastern next week on the Nullified Take. I will put that link in the bio, in this description as soon as it's up. Then earlier on in the afternoon, we'll say maybe at, I don't know, 2, 3, 4, somewhere around that time, Chris or Drew and I will be going live like normal to do our power rankings, but during the afternoon on Friday. So before 6 p.m. on Friday, we'll be doing that. And then 8 p.m. on the Nullified Take. That's correct, right? Did I got everything right?
Yeah.
Well, do you have anything else to say about this episode or about what's going on with you? What's happening in the world of the Angelcake Entertainment Channel?
Right now it's the end of the month, so it's a lot of like catching up to do with Patreon stuff. And I'm happy to announce that I spent all last weekend sifting through all the articles and everything to grab back all of my research for Polly and Cara Part 3. So I have the VO down, and I have over 160 assets. I'm talking about podcast episodes, Big Brother, X on the Beach, all the challenge stuff, as well as all the screenshots that I could ever want and hope for. I have everything to start putting together all the Cara Maria Part 3. So I am happy to say that I'm going to get started on that. I'm going to be working tirelessly on that for the next couple of maybe a week or two. And then boom, I'll be dropping it on everybody's laps and then getting back to doing weekly videos on my main channel. So I'm very excited to maybe have that weight lifted off my shoulders. And I'm excited for everybody to watch it and critique about it. Either they love it, they hate it, or they just hate Pauly, and I'm cool with that too. So yeah,
they're gonna love it. They might hate Pauly, but like they're gonna love just because just the amount of work that you put into getting all the different interviews and footage and quotes and clips. Like, you know, it's just so enjoyable just to find out all the information. It's like tea. You're just getting all the tea on Cara Maria and Pauly. So I think that people will enjoy it no matter what, even if they don't particularly like Pauly.
It's gonna be. I think it's gonna be tough mudding in the beginning of that video because I'm going to be talking about a lot about Pauly in the beginning, like introducing him, laying down the groundwork, especially since he's such a big figure from season 32 on. So just warning everybody, it's gonna be a lot of Pauly right in your face right in the beginning. So
Just
it's gonna
get
be
it
a
out
lot
of the
of fun.
way.
It's gonna be a lot of fun.
So Joanna wants to know, is going to be Kahuna going to join us? I'll ask Chris. I know some people would like to have the three of us to kind of come to get the band back together since we did a couple of years together, the three of us. But maybe Kahuna will want to pop on. We'll see. We'll ask Chris what he thinks because it will be on his channel. So we'll see if he's going to join or join for part of it or whatnot. Other than that, though, we will be there for sure. And I'm going to step them with a really fun game. Ha 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 ha. Yeah. Maybe I'll even do like I'll keep it all quiet. It'll all be a surprise. All of it. Well, for me, what am I doing? I'm going to be going live with Taryn. I think we're going live at 4 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be doing the Survivor Stock Watch. So we're going to be ranking the players of Survivor 44 this week. I'll be doing that in about half an hour's time. And then at 6 p.m. Eastern, I will be going live with Sarah to do our rankings for Survivor 44. So you get to see me a couple more times if you want to pop on later on today, either on Rob as a Podcast at 4 or on Nerdtainment at 6 p.m., where we will be talking Survivor. Other than that, I will be seeing you next week for we're coming together, the band's back together on the Nullified Take, and then we'll be here in the afternoon. So please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Also subscribe over to the Angelcake Entertainment channel if you haven't done so already. Like this video and let us know what you think about our power rankings. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Who's too low? Who's too high? Who do you think is going to be eliminated next week? We want to hear what you think, spoiler free, and then we'll talk about it next week. So other than that, we'll see you next time. Chowzas.